Hey everybody, I'm Bob Bakert from Jazz Guitar. Today we're being joined by Bill Frisell, who's going to talk to us about his new recording, 4, which is what we're here for today. So, you know, it's such a pleasure to be with you again, and I really do appreciate it. So I really want you to just go ahead and in your own words, tell us about your project.
Well, let's see where to begin. I guess not to dwell
Go ahead
too
and
much
dwell.
on this. Well, it really does have something to do with these last few years of, with the pandemic happening. I'd been traveling. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 30 or 40 years. It's just, I've been so lucky to have been playing music with my friends all the time. That's what I've been doing forever. And suddenly it's like, okay, stop. You can't do this anymore. So, but what was amazing is I immediately, I guess pretty much the first day when I realized that I couldn't, you're not supposed to leave your house or whatever, we were figuring out what to do, but I grabbed my guitar and just started strumming away like I always do. And really, I mean, my whole life, that's been the thing. My guitar, I'm so thankful for my guitar. It's like, really saves me. And however long a period of time that was, basically, I just would go to my instrument and I wrote so much music. Like I've got just, piles and piles of, if you saw this room here, it's just, I don't even know what all piles of stuff, whatever melodies but it's pretty much every day I would do that. And without, I didn't have any real plan for what it was to be, but that's what kept me sane. And I mean, there's a large circle of people that I play with often. I'm so lucky with this amazing whole family of musicians that I play with, but somewhere I got it in my mind. I was thinking, I played with Jonathan Blake a few times, and we've tried to do some gigs, and then things would get canceled or things we didn't think. But I did some, like, a duet concert with him one time, and I sat in with it was a group of Chris Davis. I sat in with them, and it was like he's somebody that I've wanted to spend more time with, and he's always been in the back of my mind. uh, and then Greg Tardy is someone I've been playing with more for, I don't know when it could be getting close to 20 years or so that we've off and on played, and in the last few years have reconnected quite a bit. And Gerald Clayton, a piano player that I'd been a big fan of his music for a long time, but I didn't meet him until I first met him. I saw him play with his father, John Clayton, the bass player. And that was amazing. So beautiful to hear this father son thing.
Yeah.
That was in Italy. Again, I don't know. I can't keep track of could have been 10 years ago or so. And it was quite a while before we actually played. I was on tour with I think with my trio, and I was on the same concert with Charles Lloyd's band, and Gerald was playing with Charles Lloyd, and Charles invited me to sit in. I thought it was going to be one song. I ended up sitting in for the whole, he just pulled me up, and he wouldn't let me leave. It was great. It was, but Gerald was on that, and that was the first time we actually played with Gerald Clayton, and that's where I felt like, oh man, there's something going on here. I hope I get to play with him some more. And so then I don't know when that was, a couple of years after that, I invited him to play with me at the Village Vanguard, and we did a week at the Village Vanguard, and it was so fantastic. Without any preparation or anything, he just, like, songs that I'd been playing prior to that, and then having him come into the situation, and he would take things in directions that I never had imagined. So those four guys, they were sort of floating around in my mind, like, oh wow, I wonder what it would sound like if we all got together. It wasn't even really a fully formed concept or anything. It was, and here's where it gets, I'm in such a, I know it's a privileged, amazing position to be in, but I was with Don Was, the president of Blue Note, and I've been recording Blue Note lately, and we went out to the Village Vanguard. We went to hear Robbie Coltrane, and Jonathan Blake was playing, and we were just hanging out. And I said, I've been thinking about Gerald and Jonathan and Greg, and I've got this music, and it wasn't like we were just talking like friends, and he said, oh man, you got to do it, so suddenly wow, oh okay, let's see, this is real, I'm gonna make a record. So that, it just sort of happened in a really natural, he just opened the door for it to happen, and so I just went and gathered this music, most of it from during these last couple of years, and the whole thing it's like the trust thing is just amazing. With, that's so important with music, like with Don and Blue Note, I felt like they have more trust in me than I have in myself, actually, just to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Then I go through this panic, like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? And like Lee Townsend, who produced it, I mean, I have a pretty great safety net around. Lee Townsend has produced so many of my records, and he was involved, and James Farber was the engineer who I've worked with since like the 80s, so, and it just happened. So that's that. So I ended up playing a bunch of music from that I'd written during the pandemic, and then there's a few older songs, and just that kind of brings you up a little bit to date without.
I'm fascinated. I listened to some of it. I don't have the whole recording, but I listened to some of it, and I was, it's beautifully open, and I totally understand the trust thing that you're saying, because the interplay of the four musicians, the four voices, there, I think it even says somewhere in the notes from Blue Note, there's no soloist per se, but there is, I mean, it's like you're just this interweaving thing that's going on. It's a beautiful piece. Talk a little bit more about that as a general concept, and
well, yeah, there's like, I mean, really, with all of my groups, or my hope for any music that I'm playing, it's always more about having a conversation than like the idea. I mean, I've said this before, but like, I can't even conceive of one of my groups, like if I was standing in front of the band facing the audience, it just doesn't, it doesn't
you're
work.
You're not interviewing for the Mick Jagger replacement, huh?
No way. No, I mean, it's really about the interaction with the other people. And when I listen to whatever music I'm listening to, it's not, well, like if I listen to a Miles Davis record, of course there's Miles Davis is playing something amazing, but that's not what's really getting me fired up. It's the whole combination of the way the band is working together. That's the most thrilling thing.
You composed all this music, or most of it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, well, yeah, I brought in whatever it is. I brought in the tunes, and then, I was hoping that it would just give us a starting point, and then I didn't really tell anyone what to do or what. It's just, okay, here's the song. We played the song, and we all just play together, and it's as simple as that. And then it's really like a conversation. I mean, for me, that's what music is. It's, you play one, I've said this so many times, but it's like one note is like whether it's one note or a phrase, or it's like a question, and every moment sort of sets up another moment for some other possibility to come into it. So
I got up this morning at about 5 o'clock. Actually, it was 4:50, and I started listening to Bill Frisell music again, to prepare to talk to you. And Waltz for Hale Wilner, which is on the recording, is one of the tracks that's available for you to listen to. And there's a beautiful little video that plays, a cartoon kind of video that's just gorgeous. And I was walking around, like taking care of my dog and listening at the same time through the the system. And I was just blown away. I guess I'm sorry for the overused phrase, but blown away at just the musicality and all of the individual voices, and how I could actually pick out every one of the voices and what they were doing and what they're creating. And yet the melody was very forward. It was unique for me to listen to it. And I thought, this is, I mean, excuse me, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I said, this is just sheer genius. And I really believe that. I think it is. I think it's sheer genius. And I really recommend that, people jump all over this record. It came out, we don't have a whole lot of time today, but it came out on November 11th. It's on Blue Note. You've got Gerald Clayton, who's also spending a lot of time with John Scofield. You probably know that. Jonathan Blake, Greg Tardy. I'm sorry. It's there. These are great, 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 great musicians, and it's just it's a beautiful piece of work. And as the guitar player, of course, that's wonderful that you. But the composition and the interplay is amazing. I'm going to back up just a little bit. It's been said that the big three guys from the era are Metheny, Scofield, and Frisell. And that's the big three. That's the big guys here. And I would agree with that totally. And I was blown away that I found a video of you and Charlie Hayden and Ginger Baker in 1995. And you know what? You sound the same. I mean, in a good way. I mean, you're it's the Frisell approach. It's like, man, he had this thing baked back then, man. And of course, you keep bringing it forward, but it's just incredible. Do you feel that way? I mean, how do you feel your playing has changed over the years, or has it changed? Or
no, I mean, that's
your approach.
It's so hard. I'm just like, that's what's so with music. I still feel like I'm just at the very. I mean, that what's real, if I'm really honest, and I think anybody that's in music, it's like you still have that. I remember when I first picked up my guitar, and it's like, what am I going to do with this thing? What do I do? I push this down, and then I push that down. And in a way, it's the same. It feels the same, what's out ahead of us is it's infinite. You know, when you first start, you have this infinite thing in front of you, and you enter into it, and it can be kind of overwhelming. It's like, how am I ever gonna? But then you just come to terms with you're never gonna finish it, and you just take one step at a time. And so, I mean, I'm just saying from my own perspective, I just still feel like I've been doing it for a long time now, but it still feels like I'm just at the very start. So that's what keeps you going too. It's like, wow, I can't wait to see what happens next, you know.
When I listen to you play and watch you play, I know that every note's coming right out of your heart. I just feel like there's no question about it, that it's just totally you. I mean, you're not, it's just so, the emotion, the transfer of emotion from your soul to the rest of us is about as pure as I've ever seen anybody. And I don't have a higher compliment than that. That's it for me. I mean, and it's really something. Can you speak to that a little bit about how, you know, I don't even know the question I'm asking, Bill. It has
I
to
mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a huge compliment, and I don't know. I can't explain it, but other than I, I, I really do love music. Like, like if I don't really teach, or you know, sometimes I'll do like a workshop at a school or something, and some younger student would ask me like, what should I do, or you know, how do you do this or what? And for me, it's just, it's so simple. Like, I think we all, if you love it, then it tells you what to do. That's all you need to know. Like, if you can stick with, and that's not always so easy, because there's all these forces, you know, around you. And then, I mean, I remember early on, you know, I'd be worried about what other people thought about, like, I'd be maybe embarrassed that I like this song or that song, and maybe I was afraid to show what I really liked. But if you can get past that and just put out there, just be true to what you really love and where you're coming from. Don't pretend like you're someone else, and just,
it's
which
funny.
I've done that plenty,
It's funny
you
you
know.
say that, because I made some notes early this morning, and that was kind of it. You know, one of the things that just jumps out at me when I listen to you and follow, you know, things that you've done, is your total respect for great melody. I mean, you know, you've recorded, you know, John Lennon songs, you know, and your approach to those melodies, which I think they're wonderful, and Burt Bacharach tunes, and I mean, all these great melodies. And then when you, a lot of guys won't play that stuff because it's not hip enough, you know. And
Well, that's what I was sort of talking about.
yeah,
Like, early on, I like Burt Bacharach, you know, when I was younger, yeah, I was like, oh, Burt Bacharach, that's kind of corny or something. But
yeah,
but secretly, I was like, God, that sure is a beautiful melody, you know. And then, but then also, as I learned more about it, it's like, whoa, there's some wild, crazy stuff going on in
yeah,
those Burt Bacharach songs,
yeah.
you know. And then just, you know, okay, I don't care what anybody thinks. I want to play this song. And
Love it.
if, I mean, and then if I feel like if I love it, then either the audience does or they don't, but I can't control that anyway. But hopefully that comes through, that at least I'm having a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, and with all due respect to bebop and hard bop and all of the tunes that, you know, you'll hear every jam session all over the place, and all that language, which is great stuff. I mean, you know, and I have a lot of respect for that. But taking that I'm going to call it advanced harmony and advanced melody, if you will, and the approach to music, and applying that to other melodies is just something that I love. I mean, I just really appreciate the fact that you take all those musicians that you've been influenced by, all that schooling that you went to, you know, all of the things that you've done, and you've applied the Frisellian approach, if you will, to these wonderful, wonderful melodies that have been part of all of our lives, you know, of people of a certain age. And I applaud you for it. I think it's great. So what's next for you?
I'm hoping to, it looks like with this group, when we did that album, that was the very first time we played together. So what I'm really excited about is now maybe we can do some gigs and then see, because there's something about recording, recording is a weird thing. You capture that. It's just that one moment. That's what that was. And music is not like that. Music is always, the next moment it's something else, and it keeps going. And so I'm excited I wasn't sure, all those guys are so busy with their own bands and and I wasn't sure if I'd even be able to play with them anymore. Okay, let's just do this. But it looks like next year.
22 now, 23 is next year.
I really am losing track. But there's a few things we're going to be, doing a little touring and stuff. So that's really exciting for me to see what'll happen, even if we play the same tunes or play other tunes, but just to spend more time with that combination of people. And
well, that's tremendous. Well, I know that you're a little limited on your time today, and I certainly appreciate you carving out some time in your day to talk with us.
Good to talk to you,
Bill. You're a treasure. I mean, you really are. Your music is so pure. Like I said, I was walking around the house listening, and what I've already said, I'm being redundant, but I said that's just genius. I just love the way that he's going about it. So I appreciate the time today. I'm just going to recap a little bit for people out there. The record is called 4. It's on Blue Note. It features Jonathan Blake and Gerald Clayton, Greg Tardy, and of course Bill. It's beautiful, beautiful music. Please go out and grab a copy and support the American geniuses, if you will. I love it that you play blues and you play Americana and you bring bluegrass into your music and all. I mean, I just love that you incorporate everything that's like organically around you into your music. I have to say that before we go. So, Bob Bakert for Jazz Guitar Today with Bill Frisell. Thank you very, very much, Bill. And good luck with this recording. And we hope to talk to you soon about other stuff that you're doing.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bill. Bye-bye now.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Next time.